Hi guys, I'm Jen Johns. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make another Christmas cake. This time it's going to be based on one of my absolute favorite Christmas shows, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and one of my favorite books too. So what I'm going to be showing you today is how to make this gravity-defying Grinch cake. It's actually super easy, so let's get started on this tutorial. To make the cake, we're going to be using 4 6-inch round cakes. Now I used my vanilla cake and I colored it lime green. You can do whatever color you want to. We're also going to be using some green buttercream. This is a darker green and it's vanilla buttercream. And I'll put a link in the description box to both the buttercream and the cake recipes. We're going to be using some styrofoam cones. And then for our candy decorations, I'm going to be using some green, red, white, and silver decorations here. I've got different shapes of balls and some little flat ones as well. And finally, we're going to be using one single red ball ornament. So I've got 3 of my 4 cakes out here, and I'm going to cut these ones smaller. I'm leaving the 4th one in its original 6-inch state. This cutter is 5 1/4 inches. So I'm just going to cut the cake out with this one. It's just pressing down with that. Just want to press all the way through, pull that off. If you need to trim it off with a knife, you can do so. Now over to the second one, we're going to use a 4 1/2-inch cutter. So we're just gradually creating a smaller cake here. That one went in nice and easily. And then for my third one, it's a 3 3/4 in size. Cut that one out, and again, trim them all up, and we'll be ready to stack them. So I have my 6-inch cake here attached to my cake board, and I've got it off center because we're going to have the cake leaning over this way, so I do want to have enough room for the top of the cake to hang over on the cake board still. So I'm going to take my green buttercream, and again, you can use any color that you want to, and I'm just piping a small line in here, or a small little layer, and just spread it out with a cake spatula. And then I'm going to take the cake that's the next smallest in size, stack that one on top, and now I'm leaning it slightly over to this side. So there's a bigger gap on here than there is on that side. So I'm just kind of putting it off center on the cake as well. Just going to kind of help that gravity effect, or that anti-gravity effect here with the cake. So I'm just spreading on the buttercream in between each of the layers, and I'm just going up in decreasing size here. Again, leaving a little bit of space on this side and having more on this side. And then once I've got these 4 layers on here, I'm going to pop this into the fridge while I work on the styrofoam part, because I want this to be nice and hard before I go to work on it. So I've got my styrofoam cone here, and I'm going to cut it into 3 different pieces. So I'm just using a sharp knife. This is just like a little like X-Acto knife almost. I'm just cutting straight down, and then cut the tip off as well. And then I'm going to leave this part, this bottom part, like this. And now I'm going to trim off a little bit off of these 2 pieces. And what I'm going to do is just take a little bit of an edging off of here. I'm just going to kind of trim it off like this on both of them, like that. So where I cut the little notch out of the bottom pieces, what I'm going to do is put a couple toothpicks in just for stability, so it can stay together. You could also use a hot glue gun if you prefer. So then I'm just going to press that into the edge here of this one that's on the bottom, and then hold it like that. And then I'll repeat that same step here with the smaller top of the tree. And I'm going to line that up here on the bottom on this next one here. Then you're left with a couple of gaps here. Like what you've got is this gap in this area, you've got this gap in this area, and that's what this second tree is for. If you want to carve some space, some extra styrofoam for these places, I would do that to fill that in, because then you don't have to worry about filling it in with icing, which will make this really heavy. Once we have the leaning part of the tree completed, what we're going to do is just wrap it in some plastic wrap. Just want to make sure that you cover all of this styrofoam area so none gets mixed into the cake. So I'm just going to wrap that up, and then we'll be ready for the next step. Once we've got it all wrapped up, we can place it on top of our cake, and what we're going to do is take a skewer and just insert the skewer, the sharp end first helps, and then press that right down through the styrofoam and down into the cake, all the way down to the bottom as far as you can get it, and then you can trim it off with a pair of wire cutters or a sharp knife. Once we've got the tree stacked here like this, what we're going to do is take a sharp knife and just barely cut off a little bit of each of these little cakes. You just kind of want to almost level it out slightly so the gradualness of the cake and the tree shape is going to come very gradually. You don't actually have to cut this part off, but it does help a little bit. You need a little less buttercream if you want to do it this way. So I'm just going to trim up these little layers. After we've carved that gradual kind of slope to the cake, we're going to take some of our green buttercream and we're just going to do basically a crumb coat all over the cake, including the styrofoam part up here. We're going to cover absolutely everything. So you just want to take an offset spatula and just carefully go around your cake. Make sure you're covering everything here. And what this is going to do is when we start to use the leaf tip, what it will do is, like, if there's any gaps in that leaf tip area that we leave, there won't be so obvious because this green buttercream will kind of cover it and hide it. Once we have the buttercream covering the cake completely, I'm going to take some additional buttercream, and I've got it here in a piping bag fitted with a leaf tip or a 366. We're going to hold it vertically so those points are vertically up and down. And I'm just going to squeeze my bag out, let it build and pull out from the tree at the same time. So I'm building, pulling, and letting it build like this. You do want your buttercream to be able to be fairly stiff so you can get these sharper kind of points here. And I'm going to cover my cake completely in this tip. After we have the tree covered completely using our leaf tip, we're going to take some of our decorations and just place them onto the cake wherever you'd want to put them. I just used a variety of kind of like the same kind of color scheme, a traditional Christmas color scheme here with the red and the green and some silver and some white. And that's kind of what you also see in the Grinch more so, is this kind of color tradition. Then I also added some lime green in here to give kind of homage to the Grinch himself, since we know that he's lime green. So I'm just going to continue to decorate my Christmas tree here, and then I'll show you what to do next. So I've transferred the cake here to a cake board covered with fondant, and I've just added some chocolate presents that I found. I'll put a link in the description box for you if you want to have those too. You obviously don't have to add anything to the cake board, but I'm just kind of adding a little bit more of a spice to it here. So what I'm also going to add is a little sign for Whoville. So here I have some green fondant that's matching the color of the fondant on my cake board. And I'm just going to punch out a hole here with a straw, and I'm just going to make that easier for my little stand to sit on. So I'm going to use a little bit of just white chocolate here on the top, squeeze that on, and then I'm going to press that little gumball onto there, and you're going to let that dry. While that's drying, or harden, while that's drying, what I did was I cut out a piece of white gum paste because I want it to be extra hard. Then I'm going to take my edible white writer, and I'm just going to be able to kind of like etch in the word Whoville, or you could do Mount Crumpet, or you could do the Grinch's lair, whichever one you want to. So I'm just going to gently go over this and just make my little sign, and then I'll attach it with the white chocolate as well. Our final step to complete our Grinch tree cake is to take the ornament and just insert it into the top here of the cake, and I'm putting it into that styrofoam part there, and it should hang just like that. So there you go, everybody, how to make this gravity-defying Grinch Christmas tree cake. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Now, if you want to be notified every single time we upload a video, make sure you hit that notification bell, which is right beside the subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching. For more Christmas ideas, make sure you check out our Christmas playlist. I'll put a link to that in the description box. See you all again next time.